Everybody, sflogicninja here, or you can call me David Earl. I don't care. How you doing? It's been a little while. I've been extremely busy on very cool things. Number one, Marrow's playing April 13th, a CD release party at Elbow Room in San Francisco. The next thing is I've been very busy working with Paul Lipson, who is co-composing with me, Peter Steinbach, who's doing sound design, and Steve Hitecker, who is the chief engineer, and Irina Mikhailova, who was doing vocals for Halo Waypoint. So any of you who have an Xbox 360, go on to Xbox Live and check it out, and you can see what I've been so busy on. I'm pretty proud of it. We've got 3 more episodes coming, and hope you enjoy it. So anyway, back in the Logic world. So there's an Axiom Pro video on the way, as I've been saying the past couple videos, but I've been trying to get together this new way of shooting videos. So I think we have the kinks worked out. We've got a videographer together with a 2-camera system that we're working on for all kinds of other nefarious plans that Pyramind has. But I wanted to give you a little something because I feel bad. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. So here we go. The next series of videos, the next couple videos that I'm going to do, are going to have to do with all of these ancillary programs that come with Logic Studio that nobody ever talks about or knows about. You got Logic, right? I mean, we've been talking about that for a long time. But did you also know that there's essentially a whole multi-track audio editor built in that you can use almost, it's like Pro Tools. I mean, you can record audio into it, you can place your audio in there, you can add effects to tracks. It's got a 2-track editor that's fantastic. I'm going to show you one little thing in Soundtrack Pro 2 today, just because it made my life on this project that we were working on a lot easier. So Soundtrack Pro is built in Logic Studio. When you install it, you get it. It's just in there. It's really, really neat. You have access to all your audio unit plugins as well. Now, I personally, for multi-track editing and multi-track recording, I'm going to use Logic, of course. But when we get into Soundtrack Pro, its 2-track editor, as I'll show you just a couple really quick things. It's really fantastic. So, Logic. Now, there's also this program called MainStage. MainStage is kind of, we use it live in Marrow, and essentially what it does is it allows you to set up instruments very quickly and easily, and also create control schemes for those instruments. You can create buttons that are assigned to controllers that you have. It's very, very, very simple and really fun and easy to use. So a little bit down the line, maybe as we get closer to the Marrow release party on April 13th, plug, I'll show you guys kind of how we're going to be integrating it and using it. I've discovered some things on the net that are really cool about taking piezo transducer microphones and making MIDI triggers out of them. We'll get into that later. So anyway, MainStage, really cool stuff, and we'll be going into that as well. Now this program is called Waveburner, and it's also included in Logic Studio, and not a lot of people use it or even know about it, but a lot of mastering engineers know about it because it allows you to do some really cool things in terms of mastering your songs. I've talked to you guys before and told you that I usually don't do my own mastering, and I do stand by that rule. However, if I have an album's worth of material and I want to, maybe I don't have the budget for a mastering engineer, then I can jump in here and do a pretty good mastering job, if I do say so myself. It allows you to master individual songs as well as do very quick and easy crossfades between songs. It allows you to do mastering notes. It allows you to put CD text into the files. It's very, very good. And a lot of mastering houses, if you give them a Waveburner file, you can give them one little file that has all of the songs in it and all of the settings and everything, so that they just open it up on their machines and they can go. Very, very cool. Great program for mastering. You should look into it. Really cool stuff. Next to that, we have this thing. And as you can see, the levels are peaking all over the place because it's listening to the microphone that's built into the Mac. This is actually an impulse response utility, and what it does is, if you felt so inclined, you could go out to your favorite acoustic space, put a bunch of mics up, burst some white noise into the room, which they have built into this program. And essentially what this program does is you'll burst a tone into the room, it'll record that, and then it'll create a reverb out of that sound. Now, it's for the Space Designer plugin that's built into Logic and Soundtrack Pro and everything else. So the Space Designer plugin, let's say that you have some big cave or a big warehouse by your house. You can actually go in there, use this program to get an accurate picture of the room, and then that file is called an impulse response. When you come back home and you want to use it in Logic, you can open up Space Designer and load that impulse response in. So my buddy Peter Steinbach, who worked on Halo with us recently, I was going to enlist him to help us kind of explain this unique little program a bit. So then over next to that, I have this thing called Compressor. Now, Compressor is actually a video program, and it allows you to take videos and you throw them into this, and you can make your video into any format you want. There's all kinds of formats out there, all kinds of standards that you may have to adhere to if you're delivering video. Now, this is something that's also included in Final Cut, and it's more video oriented, and the guy who's helping me with the 2-camera shoot on the Axiom Pro video, which hopefully we'll do this week if I get some time, we're still working on Halo, I'm hoping to get that Axiom Pro vid together, and he uses Compressor for a lot of stuff. So I'm hoping that I might be able to enlist him to, help show you guys some stuff. So anyway, there's that. Now, I wanted to show you this one thing in Soundtrack Pro. So what I'll do is I'm going to go into Logic here, and let's see. I'm going to pick up instruments, all drums, acoustic, and maybe these Lavage drums. Lavage drums. I can't talk tonight. Okay, no, I don't want to import the tempo information. So right now this is an Apple loop, and that's not necessarily going to work for us. But if I Control-click on it and say bounce in place, not convert to new sampler track, that comes later. Basically, it prints this file, which is a PCM audio file, not an Apple loop. So I like to work with PCM audio files when I'm working in something like Soundtrack Pro or any other audio program. Now, what's the quickest way to get this into Soundtrack Pro? Well, there's actually a key command that was built into Logic. It's Shift-W. If you click Shift-W, it automatically opens up whatever audio file you have in the Arrange window in Soundtrack Pro. So now, Soundtrack Pro, what is this all about? There's the whole multi-track aspect of it, which is kind of like Pro Tools and kind of like Logic and all that stuff, and I'm not going to go into that right now. What I wanted to just talk about was this 2-track editor that we've got. So if I hit the space bar, it'll play the audio back. It's just a regular kind of 2-track editor type deal. Now, what's neat is that I have all of my effects under Process. If I go to Effects and I go to, say, Reverb and go to, I'll just do a Platinum Verb for now. Now, the difference between using a plugin in this fashion versus using a plugin in Logic is that this is going to hard process the reverb to the file. Your file is going to have the reverb embedded in it. So I'm going to listen to it. Here it is without. There it is with. Oh, this is looking crazy. There we go. Great. Now, when I say apply, it applies that reverb directly to the drum loop. Now, you'll see that it actually came up in a list over on that side, right? So, kind of interesting. We'll get back to that in a second. Now, what's also kind of neat is that I could go to one sound here, one part of this file, and maybe I'll reverse it, and then maybe I'll come over to this part of the file, and I'll apply. This is also a plugin, but it's not. It's a free plugin. It's called the Massey Tape Head, and I'm going to apply some drive, and then play it, and then I hit OK, apply. Now you'll see that all of these are showing up in a list on the left-hand side. What's kind of neat about this list is that, yes, I've hard processed the file, and you saw that cool little animation where it processes the file and redraws it. Check this out. If I grab tapehead and move it up the line above PlatinumVert, it will actually reprocess the file as though I put tapehead before PlatinumVert. Are you getting where this is going? This is why I call this the Photoshop of audio. Essentially, you have a list of all of the things that you've done to the audio on the left-hand side, and then you can even save this as an Apple script. I'll talk about that in a second. So if I go to Process, and let's say I go here, and I'm going to add yet another effect. Maybe I'll do Soundtrack Pro Reverb. I haven't even messed with that one yet. Ensemble. Apply. And maybe I'll put the ensemble before the reverse. That's good. So I've done all these processes to this file. Now everything's saved for that one little, I've done all these little areas. So this isn't the best one to use for an Apple script. When I'm talking about Apple script, basically what that is it remembers all of the motions that you've done. And then it will apply that to any file that you bring into Soundtrack Pro. So, or any file that you apply the Apple script to. So if I go to File, and I say Save as Apple script, and I'll put this on the desktop. And let's say I go to Logic again, and I'll drag in another drum kit. Now remember, this is how we do it. It's still an Apple loop right now. I control-click on it and say Bounce in Place, so that I get a PCM audio file. And now I'm going to actually, let's see, what am I going to do? I'll put this on the desktop. I'm actually going to save a copy of it to the desktop. Oop, not converting select Apple Loops files. Apple Loops can only be converted to file type AIF. You know what that means, folks? That means that I accidentally got rid of the wrong file. Now, how can you tell if it's an Apple Loop or a PCM audio file? Well, the PCM audio file always has this symbol, not this symbol. Even ninjas can screw up. Okay, so it's going to give it a weird name. Now, what's happened is I've got this file called proc, and if I drag it over weird script, this little Apple script is the thing that I exported from Soundtrack Pro. So if I drag this over weird script, then what happens is it automatically opens Soundtrack Pro, and then you'll see that it applied all of the same processes to the file in the left-hand side here. Now, here's what you do. You have a big old stack of audio files. In our case, we had a lot of VO files, 637 pages of VO. Well, if you have a process that you need to apply to all of them after you QC the files to make sure that the files inherently are good, you can do things like normalization and compression and little EQ or whatever you need to do to the file. You can create a batch process, which means that you take your folder full of files and you take all those files and you toss it over that Apple script. The Apple script will run all of these processes on all of the files. So that's a really nice, if you have Logic Studio, that means that I used to use Peak all the time for my batch processing, but now it's very effective to use Soundtrack Pro. So there's your tip. It's not a Logic tip. It's a Soundtrack Pro 2 tip, which is part of the Logic Studio suite, which has a lot of cool stuff that you probably haven't played with yet. And it's time that you got your hands dirty. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on. Like I said, the Axiom Pro video has only been delayed because I'm doing this 2-camera shoot thing with a really cool videographer who I'll introduce you to when we do that video. But we have it on the schedule. We're supposed to do it this week. So I'm looking forward to showing you guys how all that works out. So there you go. I really hope this video is under 10 minutes. Ciao.